adult Sunday school leader. Welcome home. This is my home here in Whitehall, Arkansas. Hey, glad you are viewing this week. Let's take a look and see what is heading our way this Sunday. Remember, we are starting a brand new unit. It's entitled Welcome Home, and the lesson this week is called Reality Check. It's session 1, and the lesson is out of Titus chapter 3, verses 3 through 11. And the point is that our lives should serve as a welcome mat into the church. Well, the Wizard of Oz holds a special place in my heart because when we lived in Liberal, Kansas, there was a Wizard of Oz museum there, and I've mentioned this before, but my daughter was Dorothy. She dressed up and gave tours there. And of course, one of the catchline phrases of that movie is what? There's no place like home. And so that's what we're looking at for the next several weeks, is making our church home, a home that people would be welcome to. And that goes down to your class as well. Well, you know, a home is a place that I want to be. It's a place that I want to invite others to be at. It's a place that I want to make sure that that I'm at. So whenever I'm out of town, I'm always looking forward to being back home into my own bed and my own shower and all that. And our church home should be the same way, that it's a comfortable place, but not too comfortable to where, you know, it's only just for us, but we're looking to make it comfortable for other people as well. So think about this at your church level as well as your Sunday school level. Now, as we look ahead in some of the verses that we're looking at in Titus chapter 3 this week, in the first part we see in verse 3, basically he tells us not to judge. Don't judge other people, especially those outside the church, because we were like that at one time. He lists a bunch of sins that we were at one time and hopefully are not like that now. So let's not judge people, especially those outside the church. And also it says there that our deliverance is not of our own doing, meaning that it was because of Christ's love, His grace, His mercy that He saved us, He rescued us. It definitely wasn't anything that we did on our own. So we don't have anything to brag about because we came out of that sinful lifestyle. We get down to verse 9, and it talks about being united, that the church, the local church needs to be united, not divisive. You know, there's so many things that people argue about. In medieval, I think it was medieval times, you know, one of the theological debates was how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. Well, that's just a silly argument that people can argue about. But what do we argue about today? Color of the carpet, you know, that's a standard Southern Baptist joke, you know, that the church divided because of the color of the carpet. But we've got to be careful because we can do that. We can argue about the things that really don't matter for the kingdom. So let's take a stand for those things that are important, those things that matter for the kingdom's sake. But let's not get all, as I like to say sometimes, let's not get our knickers in a twist over the things that really don't matter for the sake of the kingdom. And they're just our personal preference, okay? Let's do that. All right, we look on down to verses 10 and 11, and we've got to protect that unity. And so to do that, sometimes we have to call out those troublemakers. And now we're to call those troublemakers out, those folks in the church body. We're not looking at calling out people outside the church, all right? We spend too much time talking about those people out there and their sin while we're not doing that in our own church. We got to call out those troublemakers. And the way he says to do this is give them a couple of warnings. And after that, have nothing to do with them, because the goal here is redemption. The goal is not expulsion. But sometimes we have to resort to that if those hard-headed troublemakers won't change their ways, because the goal here is unity. So as we think about this overarching unit here of welcome home and how our church, our Sunday school classes should be welcoming, let me give you a personal testimony, okay? My wife and I were on vacation a few years ago, and it was over a Sunday, and we went to church at a church that was in a different state, a big Southern Baptist church. We walked in, found the guest parking anyway. We walked in, and from the time we entered the parking lot until the time we left, not a single solitary person spoke to us. And that was interesting because the church even had a greeting time where people stood around and they shook hands with people and made people feel welcome. But nobody spoke to us. Very interesting. And so I actually wrote a note to the associate pastor and told him that And it wasn't a griping thing, but as an associate pastor, and I'm kind of in charge of those kind of things, I would like to know that. And so I wrote a note, and I thought it was pretty nice, and just told him, hey, from the time we didn't find anybody at the Welcome Center, we didn't know where to go in, all kinds of things. Anyway, just to let him know, to educate the church that they needed to be a little more welcoming. Of course, he replied he knew I wasn't being a gripey person, but he really appreciated the input. And it's just a struggle that we go through all the time because our folks get into such a comfortable habit of being comfortable. And so just learning to step outside of our comfort zone, welcome people, make them feel welcome. Welcome to our home. All right, hope you guys have a great Sunday. Don't forget to pray for your class, guys.